All right, we're going to call our meeting to order. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, everybody. Roll call, all board members are present except for Amy, Kent, and Donna, who are all excused. We do have proper notification of an open meeting. First action item is recommendation to approve the minutes of the December 11th, 2019 regular board meeting.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any question on the minutes? Hearing none, all in favor state aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Next action item is a resolution to approve the bill list.
I'll move that we group the bill list.
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second. Any question on the bill list? Hearing none, all in favor state aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Next item is communication and comments from members of the public.
Pat Knoll signed it for the AHS.
Okay. Pat, did you want to speak outside of the report? Okay. All right. Moving on, superintendent's report.
So the first portion of our superintendent's report is an update from the Arrowhead Scholarship Fund. We have 3 visitors from that fund, and before I introduce them and have them say a few words to provide an update, I want to take the opportunity to thank them and that whole committee. The amount of time and effort and planning and work they go into that program is amazing, and it's all purely to benefit our students. And I say our students in a very cumulative, collaborative manner, because we all consider them our students, and certainly parents and community members probably consider them even more so in terms of our students. But to raise money for scholarships for students that just that much more help them in their future is really commendable. So we're fortunate to have the Arrowhead Scholarship Fund in place. It's been in place, if I remember correctly, since the late 1950s, something like that. So it's been a long time. So to hear more about the Arrowhead Scholarship Fund and then specifically some new opportunities and new ways they're trying to raise money for our students, we have June Ernst here, Nichole Keiser, and Pat Knoll.
Unless you're wrong.
This is about where you want us?
Sure.
Sure, wherever you're comfortable.
Okay, I'm Pat Knoll. I've been part of this board for 21 years. I was on the board actually when Tim Manger was the president way back in 99, 2000.
Yeah, a long time
And we
ago.
held our first fundraising event back then, so we are in our 21st year. It's easy for me to remember that because this is our 21st dinner auction that we'll be hosting. First of all, thank you for allowing us to come tonight and give a little background about what we're doing, where we're going, and some of the updates that we have. You had mentioned a little bit of history. This organization was founded in 1958, and so we've been going strong for 62 years. In November of 2003, Tim assisted us in becoming a formal 501c3. So we are now under the federal guidelines of the government, nonprofit. So we do file a 990 easy tax return every year, so that anybody wants a copy of that, we can certainly give it to them. As far as who governs the Arrowhead Scholarship Fund, we have a volunteer board. None of us get paid. We do it because of what our passion is all about and helping the students, and you hit it. This is a wonderful school district. You as a school board do wonderful things to assist us in allowing us to use your facilities and your staff, Greg and his team, so we really appreciate that.
That's why we're all here, because we love it.
There you go. So our purpose is solely to raise money for scholarships for graduating seniors. And with that, I'm going to turn it over to Nichole. She's going to give an update on some other parts of what we have going on.
And I'm really involved with the actual scholarship process. So last year we were, well, to date we have given out over $2.2 million in scholarships to Arrowhead graduates, which is really a big number, and we're really excited going forward to eventually hit that $3 million mark, or 2.5, I guess, getting ahead of myself, but
How the meetings go, by the way.
we've got goals. Last year we gave away 82 scholarships, and the value of those scholarships was over $84,000. So. So process that we have made changes to in the last couple of years, we've gone to an online application for the kids, which the feedback, last year was the first year, and we got a lot of positive feedback, and we got some really great hints and tips from the students, the applicants, and also from the teachers that are involved in the process with letters of recommendation. And the kids are so tech savvy, and their world is Google Docs, so this is nothing unusual for them. It was a little bit more of a learning curve for us, that where's the save button? A little bit of panic there, but anyway, so that's been a really positive thing for us. And this year we've actually gone, and now the letters of recommendation from teachers, it's a standardized form, and they're submitting those directly using Google Forms to us also to try and ease the burden on them, because they are asked for several letters of recommendation. And then also to make it much cleaner process for us, we do it according to student ID numbers. So the names are taken out of the application process, so we try and do it as fairly as we can. We've also really improved our process with WCCF, Waukesha County Community Foundation, and they are a good partner with us, and they manage our money and they help grow our endowed funds, and they're also very helpful with trying to partner with the community and make that easy enough for the community members, like Chief Roche has donated a scholarship recently. So WCCF is a really good partner for us that way. And we're really excited this year. At this point, we've added at least 5 new scholarships to the list that we'll be giving out. We've added a pro healthcare scholarship. We have added Enters. We have added class of 1969. The Optimist Club is actually, I believe, doing 2. And Emily Saul Memorial Scholarship. She was a freshman student that passed away. So there's a scholarship that's been started in her memory. The other thing that I'm really proud of that we are working really hard, community members we're trying to encourage, or community members have come to us and we're trying to work with, but we're offering scholarships to kids that are going to technical schools and going into manufacturing. And that's kind of a piece that was missing from that puzzle that we're really proud of, that we're getting the kids that are going to either a 2-year technical school or going to be studying manufacturing involved in the process, and awarding big money to them also. So.
And I just wanted to speak to, my name is June Ernst. I'm the newest member here. I've been with Arrowhead Scholarship Fund. This is my 2nd year so far, but I'm very excited about the opportunity to work with this great team and just be able to give back to the school district. Both of my daughters have already graduated. One graduated in 2014 and one graduated in 2018. So I just thought, when I was asked to be a part of this, that this is a wonderful way for anyone out there who wants to give back to a great school district to be able to do it. So that's why I'm here. But where my focus is mainly in the events area, trying to help create new opportunities for events and new ways to raise money for the scholarships that we can give to the deserving students. So I just wanted to give a shout out to 2 upcoming events. We have a trivia night that is coming this Friday after the boys basketball game, so it should start around 9 p.m. It'll be in the Commons area, lunchroom Commons area. So there's still opportunities if people want to sign up. Susie Palantini, who's a new member on the board, she is directing this initiative, but she wanted everyone to know that there's still, we will be taking teams. You can have a team up to 8 people, and we'll let you sign up until halftime of the game. So we're really excited to let you know that it's still open, and if you are interested in participating in that, by all means, see us on Friday. And then the next event that's coming up.
We would make an exception and allow the whole board to be, if you guys want to.
Oh, sure. Absolutely.
There's 9 of you.
And really show our smarts.
And then the next big event, our annual fundraiser, as Pat mentioned, is our 21st annual this year. And the theme this year is Havana Nights, so we're kind of going with a Latin kind of inspired theme. And we're working once again, we love working with the community, and the community's been great. The business people have been so generous, whether it's auction items or sponsorships or helping us like subsidize these events. And for example, we'll be teaming again with Chef Becker, who has a Zesty restaurant in town, as well as his new, this is where the theme stems from, his new restaurant, Delafield America. So we are working with him. He's giving us a discount again on a meal to be able to provide this wonderful event. It's going to be held April 17th, which is a Friday, at the new Carriage House, which is affiliated with Lac La Belle Golf in Oconomowoc. So we're getting the invitations finalized. We'll be sending those out in February, but we just wanted to put that out there for people as well. Friends, family, community members, we just want to get as many people as possible. We had a wonderful, if you were able to join us last year, we had a wonderful event. So we're looking forward to that again.
Does anybody have any questions? Tim?
So I know when you joined that organization that it was a pass-through scholarship fund. Whatever the community gave got given out, and then you helped start an endowment. How much is the endowment today?
We currently have roughly $600,000 with WCCF.
That's amazing.
So we've done a nice job of keeping the bulk of the money, although we do want to make sure that we give out a good number of monies to the graduating seniors. So the goal, as Nichole said, is to hit that magic number of $2.5 million. So we do have our work cut out, but once we would do that, I think our fundraising efforts would be much easier, because we could certainly spend some of the interest that we would earn.
Pat, do you have, following up on that question, do you have a percentage amount or interest only, or how do you determine how much from that?
There is actually a formula that WCCF allows us to withdraw. There are specific scholarships that are named that we are allowed to take a certain amount out every year. Many years ago, we were the recipient of a it was a teacher named, was it Robert Hughes?
Yeah.
Robert, and we actually had to go to probate court to accept the donation, and that fund is probably closing in on about $200,000. That's more than doubled since we received that. So that's an example, and we have the right to take a certain percentage out of that if we wanted to, plus the earnings.
Thank you.
Is there still opportunity for businesses, community members to get in on the excitement this year, or to start a scholarship fund? And someone that may have, if there's any businesses out there listening or want to see, is there a contact or someone that they should get in touch with to get their?
Yes, at this point, Abby Holland she's the president of our organization, and unfortunately, she wasn't able to be here tonight, she's out of town, but the information's on our website, so arrowheadscholarshipfund.org. I think there's also a link from the homepage at Arrowhead.
There is from our website in the community section.
Yes, but Abby Holland would probably be the contact person to get in touch with.
Any
And
community
just
member, they can contact any board members, and we'll make sure we get them to the right area.
Great.
And just to follow up to that, Sarah Davis, one of our board members, she is working constantly to try and come up with mailing campaigns and ways to reach out to either alumni or area businesses. She did a mass, I hesitate to call it mass mailing, but it was a targeted mailing before the holidays to try and reach some of the area businesses that maybe haven't heard of us or haven't thought of us in a while, that might be interested in possibly doing a scholarship. So we're always looking for ways to get connected back to the community in that way.
I just want to say thank you to you and the rest of the members of your board. Having sort of sat in those seats, it is, obviously an area that you get involved with because you're passionate about what you're doing, but it also comes at a sacrifice, and I appreciate your sacrifice. And I know that in addition to the millions of dollars that you've given out in scholarships, that adds up to thousands and thousands of Arrowhead graduates who have received scholarships and have gotten the sort of pat on the back that gives them the confidence that their home community thinks that they can make it when they get to college. And that's a big deal.
Very special work.
Thanks for
Thank you very much.
Oh my gosh.
Thank you very much. In the next part of the superintendent report, we're just going to keep on celebrating. Our athletic and activities director, Mr. Ryan Mangan, is here to give a report on all of the fall activity successes.
Good night, thanks for being here.
Yes.
Oh, that's thanks.
All right, thanks. As annually, I just try to stop in and say hi and give you some highlights from the fall season. I always give it to you in paper form so you can take it home and take a look at it and ask questions, because I'm not going to dig through everything. We had usually I do this a little bit closer. We had another busy fall, and usually I do it at the beginning of the winter. We're in the middle of the winter, obviously, without the snow coming here, but we're busy with a lot of different activities going on. Band's going on tonight at North Campus. There's a lot of band stuff. Bandorama going on. So
Oh, really?
yeah, they were playing jazz outside my office as I was finishing up. It was really nice. So highlighting the clubs first. Basically, I put some of the new clubs on there. The Hosa Club is not a new club, but I wanted to highlight them because they have been really active and growing like crazy. Miss King's doing an amazing job with them, and they are getting involved in so many different things. They're pushing 100 kids involved. Just doing community service, doing a lot of job shadowing. They do competitions this spring in which Ms. King and I have been talking about how we're going to make it work with her as an advisor, because we need 2 or 3 of her, and so we're going to be trying to send, there's multiple dozens of kids competing this spring in a lot of different areas at the DECA conference not the DECA, the Hosa conference in the Dells, and so they're really busy, and again, taking over some blood drives in the community as well as probably at the school, so doing some great stuff. A couple of the other ones that are brand new this year and or kind of transitioning new from last year, the Investment Club, Ms. Schwartz, they're actively doing our investment games that we've had in curriculum in the past, and now they do it as a club. TARS is our Teenage Republican group, growing members, there's 30 to 50 kids actively involved. ASU is the Arrowhead Student Union. It's a group that Ms. Paradowski's been working with just recently about promoting diversity and inclusion in the school. Me, her, us, Ms. Pastor's got almost 75 girls involved in a club that focuses on female issues and girl empowerment, and talking about the role of women across the world and locally. And then art club, we've had an art club in the past. It's probably been 5-6 years. It predates me, but a couple of our art teachers are talking about recreating an art club, so that's still in the process. So some of our newer ones, obviously we've got a lot of activity with other clubs and activity as well. I've highlighted some of those things. At the bottom, the Student Senate's really actively involved every fall. This fall was kind of unique in the fact that the weather interfered with both of our major events. Our homecoming parade got canceled because of rain, and then we had our big DECA Hawk Fest, which, if you recall, we had crappy rain and wind, and so they had a new event in Hawk Fest with the trunk or treat, where they had a lot of places to go around and get trick or treat, but out of stands, and so we actually did that outside. Everything else got moved into the West Gym, so I believe that was the first Hawk Fest run out of the West Gym, which went as well as could be expected. A little bit tight, but we made it work. So I think the weather was definitely a factor in both those, but again, homecoming was a success. And the Student Senate, one of the challenges I listed on there is our advisor, Tamara, is stepping aside after this year, and so we're trying to find new blood and new activity in Student Senate, and it's one of the real heartbeats of the school. So those are areas that we're trying to keep things going. Next page, we got athletic participation. Basically, I list the numbers every year. We're 10 athletes down from this fall from last fall. And if you look at the numbers, they vary. Our numbers bounce up, bounce down in certain sports depending on the class. Still really solid numbers. I list our finishes as well. If you look of our 10 sports in the fall that have finishes, 8 of the 10 finished first or second in their respective spot in conference, all achieving very well. And then I have a listing on there. We had 4 different athletes who've been nominated for Journal Sentinel High School Athlete Awards. Our head coach, Jeff Stouts, won his 300 soccer game. We celebrated that near the end of the season, and that was a great accomplishment for him. And then we had multiple state runner-ups and state accomplishments for our student athletes. And then highlighting some of our teams, obviously we had a couple second place finishes. Girls swim had a great season, finished second. Girls field hockey for the second year in a row lost a nail biter. They lost in an overtime shootout in the state championship game again. And volleyball, I think you're probably all aware, our girls volleyball team won their first state championship. Looking back, it was they had a really special year. They in the state tournament series, you have to win 3 out of 5 to advance each round. And in the first 4 rounds to get to state, they won 3-0, 3-0, 3-0. So they won 12 straight games without a loss. Got to state, lost their first game at state because of nerves, and then they won 9 straight after that. So in the state tournament run, they went 21-1. They lost 1 game in the entire stretch. And so they were fantastic all year, but to go to state and sweep basically, other than 1 game, sweep through state with really good teams, the number 2 team in the state. It was a really great accomplishment. They had a fantastic year. As I always do at the end there, I give you photos, some write-ups, basically a handful of pages of our community service. You know, one of the great traditions here at Arrowhead that's been going on for a long time with our clubs and activities, I think goes back to Jeff Steinbacher before that. Encouraging it is our community service piece, and it's fantastic. So just give you some of the highlights. This is obviously not anywhere near what everyone does, but some of the highlights of some of the things that our student athletes and activities and clubs are doing over the course of time. And so that's why I give you that. Before that, I listed, we had one of the things that I know they've done before, but we try to focus on. We have our national letter intent days. There's 4 of them during the year: November, December, February, and April. Our national letter intent signing days for college athletics. And so we try to celebrate those right after school and acknowledge the kids that are going on to play athletics after high school. And we had 19 athletes in our first 2 days. February is usually a big day, so I expect we'll have another dozen or so. So kids that are going to go play sports at the next level. We recognize both those who are getting scholarships and those who are walking on and playing Division III as well. Just to acknowledge everybody who's a student at the school. So again, that's kind of some highlights. I'm open for questions now. I'm also open for questions at any point, whether it be have to do with this or something else.
You mentioned the future healthcare professionals, that it's growing. How many members do you have?
They're not at 100, but they're somewhere between 75 and 100. Yep.
And that's a new.
It was new. Last year was its first full year. So yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good stuff, Brad.
Any questions?
When do you ever
It's
sleep?
just, I do it just to check in and give you some highlights, but also, if you have other questions or things, you can always reach out, let me know. Otherwise, we're, in the midst of winter season, so thanks for your time.
You're awesome.
Thank you.
Thanks, Ryan.
That was short. Wow. That was good for you.
I'm saving up to grill you, Greg. All set?
That is the end of my report.
Awesome, okay. Committee reports. Sue, it doesn't look like you have anything to report.
I'm just sad. But we have a meeting,
All right.
January 23rd. Be there, be square.
All right, finance and legislation, Craig.
Wait till next month.
I defer to Jeff to tell us about the development of the budget at this
That's nothing
stage
new.
in the year.
Thank you, Craig. So,
Didn't see that.
Anything else you want to?
Might as well leave, Craig.
so we'll keep it brief. We're very early in the budget development process for 2021, but right after we finish up our 1920 budget and certify that at the end of October, we get moving into the new budget. So departments have been distributed their budget materials, so they're putting together their continuing budgets and their supplemental budget requests for facilities and technology and bigger items. I'm in the process of refining the financial projection model. So some of the things that I can, we know a lot of information at this point in the year compared to a year ago because the state budget is already set. So in terms of revenue limit, and remember revenue limit is the size of the pizza or the amount of dollars that we have to operate with. What makes up the inside of the revenue limit is state aid and property tax. So people get confused about, they sometimes think state aid is what we have to operate with, but it's really not. It's just who's funding what. So the total pie is the revenue limit. And we know that our enrollment, or we're predicting that it's going to be down about 33 full-time equivalent members. So that's a membership count, not a head count. Head count will be down a little bit also, but the membership count is what counts toward the revenue limit formula. So with that being down, we also know that the per pupil adjustment was an increase last year of $175. We hadn't seen an increase in revenue limit for several years. But for current year 1920, we got a $175 increase on that. And next year, we'll get another $179 increase. So that'll put us at just under $10,300 per student in terms of revenue limit availability. So that's the amount that we're allowed to raise in the form of state aid and property tax. So then we do the state aid calculation, and it comes up with a number, and the rest is what we're allowed to issue as a property tax or levy as a property tax if we use the full authority. So that we're predicting that increase in the per pupil adjustment with the decrease in student count will still generate about $150,000 of new revenue. $150,000 of new revenue doesn't touch the anticipated expenditure increases. So we'll have some work to do as an administrative team to bring a recommendation for a budget that's balanced. In terms of categorical aid, the big news over the past few years has been per pupil categorical aid. It was a big revenue that really helped balance budgets. There's a zero increase for that going into next year. So that's not additional dollars to operate with like we had been able to rely upon in the past few years, although that was not given an increase for the current year either. But it still held the money that was there, so it wasn't taken away, it just wasn't increased. So that really is the dollars available to operate, other than one other revenue that's kind of an important one is open enrollment revenue in. So there'll be a $300 per student increase on the open enrollment per student in. Now if our open enrollment numbers stay the same or go up, that's helpful. But the $300 increase, we should have a little additional revenue with that. So we're predicting a flat open enrollment in number, and that's around 200 students right now. 203 is what the current year's numbers are. In terms of state aid and what we're anticipating for that at this point, we're looking at likely a decrease of the maximum allowed decrease, which is 15% down from last year. It's about $700,000 decrease for us here at Arrowhead. And the reason being, as your student count goes down, or your membership count goes down, and your equalized value of the district, the property value of the whole district goes up, you have more value per student. And so if you have more value per student in that aid formula, you look property rich and you get less aid. So we're anticipating, well, we've seen 5% growth in our equalized value the last 2 years. We're likely going to see something similar going into the next year. And then with that 30 student drop, that'll increase our value per student. So we'll likely see the maximum decrease in aid. And so that's just a shift. Remember, here's the pie is the revenue limit, and that's just a shift more to the property tax. So it's kind of where the aid is looking like. Remember, we do have our last debt payment is in this fiscal year. So we have an opportunity of something to look at there of what we do with that difference in the reduced debt levy going into the 2021 year. And I know we'll have some discussions going forward about that. That's really the revenue side. Is there any questions on the revenues? The expenditures then, we're just predicting, what's CPI going to end up at? We'll know that number in March, and that'll give us the the maximum allowable increase for negotiating or bargaining wages. So, and then benefits. In February, we're supposed to get our preliminary health insurance numbers, so that'll be an important number to know. Salary and benefits, being a people organization, is the largest part of our budget, as you well know. We have not provided an increase in the continuing budgets, as we asked them, our department leaders, to develop their budgets with a zero increase and be prepared to potentially pull something off the bottom, so kind of prioritize their items to be sure they have something if we need to go there to be able to reduce those continuing budgets. We hope to not have to do that, but we'll see as we get into that budget balancing act. Again, it's early. We're working on it. We've got some work ahead of us as a leadership team here to put this together and bring a recommendation to the board. We'll have a finance committee meeting likely at the end of February, similar to last year, where we have more information. If we've got anything new before the February board meeting, we'll give a short update at that meeting also. Any questions?
Thanks, Craig. That was really good. Your lips never moved. A lot of information out of you.
And you didn't even see my voice being thrown in my hand behind Jeff's back.
Okay, so it does show that February 25th looks like it might be the next finance meeting, so. Any questions for finance? Building and grounds, we did not meet, and just as a reminder, next Wednesday we have our meeting, and I'll have discussion hopefully on facility improvements and things like that. One of the goals of that is, just as Jeff was referring to, is give them some guidance as they're developing the budget as to how we want to proceed with some of our maintenance issues. So personnel, nothing to report. Policy, Donna's not here, there's nothing to report. Other reports, nothing really from WASB, other than obviously the convention is coming up in a couple of weeks if you're going to attend that. CISA, Sue, anything with CISA?
No, I mean, just regular stuff.
Okay, new business, we do have employees' transactions. Diane had sent out an updated one for tonight, so if we can get a motion to approve those contracts.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any questions on those? Hearing none, all in favor state aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Okay, next one is discussion and action on regular education open enrollment space availability. There was a report that was sent out for you to review, and that would be the motion that we would have to make. That's listed in there.
You have to give it to me to read it.
Oh,
So it has to be verbatim.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
at the top of that document.
Do you want me to read it?
so
Dave?
do you want me to read it? I can read
Go
it.
ahead.
Sue, make it.
Okay, so I would make a motion to approve the following new open enrollment seats in the regular education program for the 2020-2021 school year. 140 in grade 9, 77 in grade 10, 81 in grade 11, and 88 in grade 12.
I'll second that motion.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any questions on those? Hearing none, all in favor state aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Next one is discussion and action on special education open enrollment space availability. There's also a report in the packet for that as well as a recommended motion.
Hold on this, hold on.
All right, with this one, I'll move to
So,
approve.
I would do it, I just had to get it open.
Go ahead.
You want me to? Okay, so you want me to read the whole thing again?
Yeah, please.
Oh, yeah, would you please?
Yes,
Yeah, go right ahead.
recommended, I would move to approve 0 open enrollment seats in the special education program and 8 new open enrollment seats in the speech and language services program for the 2020-2021 school year.
Okay,
Second.
we have a motion and a second. Any questions on that one?
I have a comment. We just approved over 350 seats for regular ed students. School our size with our budget or resources ought to be able to do better than 0 open enrollment students for the special education program.
Okay. All right, so we have a motion and a second. All in favor, state aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Opposed?
Motion carries. All right, we have no donations this time. Any future agenda items?
Wow.
The only thing I would ask is obviously with things going around on to keep our military in your thoughts and prayers. And I'll take a motion to adjourn.
So move.
Second.
Motion and second. All in favor, state aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, everybody.